That's quite the number. We did a survey last year, and 9 out of 10 Norwegians over the age of 18 have been subjected to attempts of fraud. I actually thought it was higher, but we're all exposed to this. Especially Norway and also the Nordics were targeted. Wealthy people, good English skills, and probably most of all, what several of you have highlighted, trust. We trust in each other, and also we trust in authorities. So, yeah, Hege Johnson, senior engineer from Encom. And this is where we're located, in the little town of Lillesand, about 11,000 people in the south of Norway. So as opposed to most of the NRAs in Europe, we're not located in the capital. We're about 170 people and growing due to recently we were tasked with the DSA Act and also AI Act, so that would require some more people. Some of the background, like the digitalization strategy from last year, that brings together kind of a bridge between the traditional telecom world and the new, or the internet-based services and platforms. It highlights especially knowledge of the citizens and the collaboration, which is two key elements. And also that law regulation needs to be in place. So the letter of allocation, we get a letter every year with what we're supposed to focus on for next year. And also there, the knowledge about and trust in electronic communications services is emphasized. And also the National Expert Group Against Fraud, that I'll tell you a little bit more about later. And also contributing to international working groups in the field, which is important, collaboration. Encom has had regulation on fraud since 2013. It was recently updated from 1st of January this year, and it gives a good foundation for regulation. I won't go into the details. Information is so important. Informing the citizens, our customers, on how the fraudsters, how they think, how they manipulate, the methods that they use, so that they can be safe. We saw how many people get suspected or subjected to attempts, but there's also a lot of people who fall for the methods. They need to be aware of the methods. They need to ask questions. They need to be skeptical. And also, they need to hang up, as the police has requested. So international fraud, or digital fraud, is a complex issue. When you get a call, it might have been around the world, and it might have been through 10 hops of international carriers. And one carrier might only know the last hop. So trace back to find the source is difficult, and also lowers the barrier for fraudsters. There's very little consequences, financial consequences, and the barriers are very low. So Encom works in different areas to prevent digital fraud. We monitor and analyze because it's important to know what we're dealing with. What is the trends? What is the situation? What are the fraudsters doing? What are their new methods? We also regulate to provide a framework, predictability, and also the possibility of sanctions. We enforce both reactively with sanctions, but also proactively with finding the vulnerabilities and trying to cover up. And last but not least, we collaborate both nationally, but also internationally. I mentioned the National Expert Group that was established 2 years ago. NCOM is leading the expert group, but it also includes the MNOs, the law enforcement, financial and security sectors in Norway. And it's been quite effective. And the MNOs play a very important role in the expert group. And they are essential contributors to the group and also finding the room up of opportunities. And we think it's a good example of the private-public collaboration. We need to work together. We need to have dialogue. We need to know, and the sectors have to work together. And together with the industry, there was a digital shield around Norway. There's quite a few measures put in place. For example, blocking of fixed numbers from abroad, roaming check, and also we've heard about the SMS registry, CLI registry, but also a proxy that was established or implemented last year, where all the Norwegian operators can check for roaming. And this has been very effective. In the first 2 months, over 40 million call attempts were blocked. And it shows that 93% of all the calls were fake. Over 75% of the CLIs were fake. But also with the measures being put in place, also the fraudsters adapt. So when mobile numbers were blocked from abroad, if they were not roaming, then the fraudster would switch to Swedish numbers or Danish numbers, where there's also still a lot of trust. But the protection doesn't work without very hard and diligent work from the operators, especially. And Telenor is definitely one of the contributors to that. So with the statistics, millions of calls are blocked and at peak 500 calls a second. But we can also see that fraudsters are human. They live normal lives. They take weekends, Christmas breaks. This is organized activities, and these are many people's day jobs. So we've also heard a lot today, so this fits in perfectly. Fraud isn't just on SMS and voice. And we've recently been mandated to start looking at internet-based services as well, which is going to be interesting and challenging. So fraud is an international problem, and collaboration across the globe is important. NCOM is chairing a global regulatory initiative called GIRAFFE, Global Informal Regulatory Anti-Fraud Forum. There are contributors from all regions of the world, and we're trying to make a code of conduct. But the knowledge sharing between regions and between countries is very important. Cooperation is essential. And there are also organizations on the industry side. MEF is one. GASA is another, one consortium. And it's important that all stakeholders are involved and contribute, because cooperation is needed from everybody. So the work we do together is immensely important. It has a huge impact on businesses, but also helps the little guy. So the war does not end. The fraudsters adapt with new measures in place. But with all the measures that have been put in place in Norway, there is a shield of resistance, but the work needs to continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Hege. Would you like to take a seat? Thank you. If you just, I'm sure you've got lots of questions for Hege, but if you could just hold them for a second. But just one question I had very quickly, Hege. What countries are you talking to, if you like, your counterparts in other countries right now? Who are they?
Through Giraffe, we're talking to a lot of different countries, but the States, they have a lot of very specific measures in place, like with the stir shaken, trace back. But a lot of the measures in the whole world are national. But US is definitely one of them. Brazil is also very active. Nigeria is very active in the group, so that's very good to see. France is another country that has a lot of, seems like they look to the States for inspiration.
It's interesting when I speak to people at these types of events at local, regional level. Sometimes I think people feel like it's just us, but it's certainly not just one region. This is happening on a global level, which is interesting. If I can just ask Per Brage, from your perspective at Telenor Norway, what do you see as the standout risks to telcos in this fraud space?
Yeah, of course, over time, the key risk is the loss of trust in our services. If people don't trust voice and they don't trust messaging, then eventually it will have little value for end users and companies and for us. So that's the sort of the key element for us. Then, of course, there's a social responsibility to help fight this as well, which is important. So we try to actively engage because of those reasons and protect our customers.
Okay. I know, obviously, from Telenor Linx perspective, you kind of put us together with Encom for this session today. What solutions are you working on together to tackle this?
I think we are working on multiple solutions, but I think that first and foremost, we need to secure that we are making infrastructure and ecosystem around us with partners we can trust. Because when we are receiving traffic and sending it to Telenor Norway or to Telia Norway or to other operators in the world as well, we are responsible for that traffic that we are taking in and actually sending to them. So we need to select partners and also destinations that we would like to offer. And access to premium rate destinations in Burundi and Tuvalu or these destinations, we should not allow that traffic. It's traffic that no one actually wants to call. It's scam traffic or it's Vangiri callbacks. And from Hege's presentation as well, there were like this 200,000 calls from North Korea into Norway. That's actually my headline, because I had one bad day at work, and that was what's happening. 200,000 Norwegians got a call from North Korea, and they were able to call back, a lot of them. So my obligations then were actually to be able to stop that payment, get it back so that Telenor Norway can refund the customers and keep them unharmed. And that's the kind of responsibility we take, or we need to take as interconnect partners for all our customers. We need to be responsible.
So from a solutions perspective, what is it you're doing to
I think
prevent that?
We're looking into AI because we need to look into call patterns. We need to look into how people react to the call they receive. If you are receiving an unwanted call, you act most likely, you will hang up. You will be the one that hangs up, and it will hang up pretty fast. And with a lot of other people are doing the same kind of pattern, it's most likely an unwanted call. And if the same number or number ranges are calling a lot of unallocated numbers in Norway or in the UK as well, then it doesn't have any existing customer relationship. That's the information we should use and actually stop that call and investigate before let it in. Because there are a lot of people out there that want to scam, or is organized crime. It's not Salvation Army that is calling us, it's the bad boys. So we need to take that responsibility and be proactive. AI, yep, but then there's a lot of low-hanging fruits as well. We can stop by actually selecting the number ranges that we would like to get into Norway. There's no reason that unallocated Swedish numbers should call a lot into Norway doing scam. Then we can take down those unallocated Swedish numbers. The same with the Danish numbers you mentioned or Austrian numbers. We can limit the access for those kind of numbers. We don't need to have everything open. We need to protect the world from organized crime. And when we are interconnect partners, we should have that insight, which numbers are allocated, which are not, who is behind them, what kind of traffic is it. And we need to take that responsibility.
So I don't know if this is an easy or difficult question, but on a practical level, how are you dealing with that? So 200 or 2,000, 200,000 calls are coming in from North Korea. What happens? Is it a light that flashes in the call center to say, or the operations center to say, block these number ranges, or what actions happen?
It's a bit similar like that, because we do have a link monitoring system on the signaling data, so we can see the call pattern. So what should have happened in that case, and it's 4 years ago, that headline, so it's not a fresh sample. We haven't had any issues after that. But the thing is that what should have happened is that it should flag up that a lot of Norwegians are getting a lot of calls from North Korea, which are not likely. There are not many phones in North Korea, and that 400,000 of them should call Norway, or 200,000 in like less than a day. It's not likely. A lot of people start to call back to North Korea, neither likely. And what should have happened? Should have gone off an alert. Someone should have stopped it, replaced the vendor to another one that is a trustworthy one. We missed that, and that's why we need to take responsibility to clean up everything, stop the payment, and be able to credit the end customers.
It's interesting. I know there's a debate raging at the moment, which is with the emergence of AI. Is it helping, or is it encouraging fraud at the moment? And there seems to be this constant tipping of the scales. They're using AI to introduce some level of fraud, but we're using AI to combat it. And it's kind of, how do we keep up with that? It really is a challenge. And Tor, if I can come to you, because obviously your experience is very global in terms of running the business, being a Norwegian guy, but running a business in the US at the moment. So what's your experiences of this?
Well, the starting point is this on, by the way? Is it okay?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, good. The starting point is, of course, that we agree that trust is the starting point. Without trust, there's no success in SMS or in RCS. And in practice, trust means that you need to know who's sending you the message. And if you believe it's the bank, it better be the bank and what you believe it's all about. That is the core of it, which then, of course, leads to what we talked about just before the break about identifying the senders in the proper way. That needs to be done, whether it's RCS or SMS. I think we all agree that, and that's important, and great that Norway has done it for SMS. Most countries have not done it, and it is really bad out there in some places. It was really bad in the US too. Only that, when you've done that, can you have then a monitoring of compliance and have some kind of accountability, so the operators, who after all are the owners of the network, can take action and throw out the bad guys and reward the good guys with the performance, the quality levels that you need. We have seen that this can be done at a small scale and at high cost. The question is, can you do it at high scale? At a low cost, because the costs absolutely need to come down. I'm very optimistic about it, not just because of AI, but my own personal experience and what we have done in onboarding millions of brands, millions of campaigns. We see that once you start doing it, you are integrated with all the aggregators. It becomes a workflow matter. It is built in and it happens. It comes down to a price point that is acceptable. So I think it is possible, and it needs to be then the target for all operators here, that you really verify all senders. You verify all the platforms in the ecosystem. You see how they work together, and you make no exceptions. And you need to, as you say, you need to shut out. You need to keep the channel clean. And once you've done that, I think it's manageable. And if you don't do it, then you really have a problem. So I see a way forward how this can happen. But last point is then that it cannot happen locally. Operators need to cooperate within the country, but from an aggregator perspective, it also needs to be unified in the requirements when you verify a brand and a logo. That needs to go across borders. It needs to be the same, similar APIs, so you can actually become like a global network with local players in it. If you don't do that, again, fragmentation, it will not work. So my challenge, since everybody wants to be a little bit provocative today, it is to the owners of the networks, the operators, to step up, I feel, and really take the whip and tell the ecosystem, this is how we want it. It happened in the US, in fact, that we were told what to do. We did it. Mm-hmm. And only when you then, somebody takes the leadership and say, these are the rules. The codes of conduct have been agreed with everybody. This is how it's going to work, the rules. And now the rest of you as an ecosystem implement it.
But has it stopped, or has it just got better?
The situation Thank you. The situation in the US is that the information is really good. We collect really, really good information. But the ecosystem is playing in. NetNumber is here today. They are a real-time distributor of such information so that gateways and operators and others can have access to it. It is the willingness to actually act upon the information. That also needs to happen, and that is coming along. But I see it as an ecosystem solution that somebody has to collect really good information from all brands, from all aggregators, needs to be verified, bring the cost down, and then you funnel it all the way through to all participants. And it needs to be a big, very efficient machine that needs to operate with very low costs. If you try to do this locally, 1,000 brands and all that, you lose. And I look to the operators actually to say, get together, agree, and here is how the rules of the game are, because you own the networks. That's my pitch to you.
So it comes back to data again, and obviously people behind that data. So anything to add to that, Brage?
Yeah. Of course, in many ways, fraud will always find its way, and the most clever fraud is perhaps when you can fake a sender ID of a bank or something, and we've dealt with that, and that's sort of out of the way, but it's with most banks and public entities as well. That reduced the type of fraud that seems like it's a real message. Then you have foreign phone numbers that's used, email addresses in iMessage and RCS messages, and you have local numbers that's used for fraud. And then, of course, it's more difficult to trick the victim, but they are still tricked. So in order to combat fraud, it means that first of all, we need to work all the time and evolve our mechanisms, and detection is very important. And we've set up reporting from end users and police and banks and things like that to raise the alarm with us so that we can take actions. But we need to work jointly with the banks to make sure that it's difficult to get money out of the banks. With the police, making sure that it's risky being a criminal, and the other authorities on the regulatory side, and amongst the telcos to make it difficult to reach the end users. But these guys, they sit on end-to-end test and around the clock, and they find ways. And yeah, we might think that the message looks silly, but sometimes that's enough.
Yeah. Well, messaging aside, I know that just very recent news in the UK that one of the largest retailers has completely brought down their online service recently, Marks and Spencer's, costing them probably billions of pounds, which is probably even worse because they can't recover again now. Someone else has swooped in and taken the business. So, you know, it is, you know, it can bring businesses down. So just while we're kind of up against time as always, I'd like to just throw it out to the audience to engage if there's any questions, because I thought there would be.
No, it's on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Robert, Deutsche Telekom, guest here. So I think the frauds have more resources than we have, and more skilled people. That's the challenge. I have questions to Hege. So it's very good that regulators are here in a discussion. I think that's something we have to establish everywhere to really be serious fighting fraud. Sometimes regulation is stopping the operators to fight fraud because of data privacy rules, content screening. So this is a big topic, and so it's easy to identify the fraud SMS if you have the chance to look at the content. So that's one question. Are you exchanging with others? Is this going to change? So when I just look at insurance companies, banks, they have access to data telcos are dreaming of, to have access to this data to stop fraud. So is there a chance to enable the operators to do a better job? And the other question is, you mentioned Giraffe and the One Consortium. One Consortium is an organization by carriers mainly to discuss trust with the regulators, but it's also, they charge a fee and they invite everybody to the table which is willing to pay this fee. So is there a chance that you can be more selective to the groups you invite to the table to discuss? Because I know that some of the biggest frauds are sitting in this organization as well. So is there a chance that you can challenge this as well? So 2 questions.
2 questions. Thank you. I'm not a lawyer, so the heavy lawyer questions are for some of my colleagues. And that is a challenge. You want to protect people, the citizens, and their privacy, but at the same time, that will prevent other opportunities and other measures. So that is a challenge. And as a non-lawyer, I don't have the answer, and I'm not sure lawyers have that either. I know that the Commission, the European Commission, is working on a what they call DNA, so a revised version of the code, new regulatory framework. So they're very eager for input on how to tweak things to make it better. So I don't really have a good answer for you. But that is also, we got a new article about fraud in our national regulation from 1st of January this year. And we'll see how well that works. It needs to take some time. The operators need some experience using it. Is it enough, or do we need to make small changes to the regulation to make it better? But we're always coming after. It's very difficult to make a regulation that will foresee the future and take care of all the needs that is out there. I don't know. On the organizations, I empathize with the fees and that everybody needs money to fund stuff and there are lack of resources. we tried to, that's part of why we're here today as MCOM, is to cooperate with as many organizations as we can and bring in the competence. So we're not just cooperating with one consortium. We're not, but they are a great contributor for some of the work.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Can I have one question?
Yes, please.
Endre, maybe you can pick
I
on
think
this
You are
one.
allowed.
One of the things that we need to look into as well is the non-disclosure agreement when we have like fraud, because you as a regulator also want to have this traceback. And today we have this non-disclosure agreement between all the carriers in the chain. So I think that if we are looking into measures that can actually help us to identify the bad boys in the chain, waiver on the non-disclosure agreement for fraud incident or criminal incidents would help. I think that's music in your ears.
It is, thank you.
Not
Yeah.
a question, but a very good statement. We do have another one here, please, Martika.
I'm missing a vital player here. There should be a financial regulator here, because we are trying to stop the commodity, but the fraudsters are really looking for the money. So maybe this is more a question to you, Hege. Are you like the Norwegian financial inspection? Because what we're talking about is like micro money laundry. So we are no, but I mean micro times a lot. So it becomes a lot.
it's also
But I'm
large
missing the
amounts.
financial sector in this discussion a lot, because we in the telecom community, we are trying to do our chip in, but I don't see equal effort from the financial sector and the financial regulator.
Maybe I can jump in and answer both of your questions, sort of. In the national expert group to fight digital crime, the financial sector is also involved, and that's a forum where we can talk with the regulator and mutually find good solutions that work. And if the operators need a nudge to sort of move, then that can be done as well. So I think that's an important thing to set up in different countries, where you can, instead of the regulator finding out things in the back room and sending it to telco, and you implement it and maybe it doesn't even work, right? Instead, sit down and discuss and try to find good solutions together. And finance is definitely in there, and they carry a lot of these losses in Norway because of legislation. Hence, they have a very strong incentive to solve these things.
That's a very good point. Bringing people together and not speaking through others. But so that is a very good place for those discussions. But very good questions.
Thank you. Is it Maria? Just doesn't want to play sometimes, that one.
Yes, now it's worked. Also a comment to you, Pat, on the financial institutes. I actually think that us as operators have a much bigger responsibility in actually stopping those payments. Today, our owners expect a lot of money from us. And it's kind of hard to get approval to stop this money floating through our systems. But as an operator or a carrier, you have to stand up and say, no, enough is enough. This is going to criminals. It's not just boys playing around. This is serious business.
Definitely.
All I can kind of add to that is I've spoken to a couple of large aggregators. I don't think they're in the room today, so kind of outside of this this area. I kind of cover messaging, but it plays a huge kind of role within the messaging, and more of my time seems to be getting, pulled away from trying to promote and to market RCS into making sure that the anti-fraud type solutions and network API type discussions happening as well. Because and why I mentioned the other two CPaaS is because it's the same for them. Their focus was on something completely different 6 months ago, but now they're being focused on anti-fraud type solutions because it's such a big thing for the industry, even more so it seems. We are running out of time, but it would be nice just to have a final word from each of you. So it'll be more than one word, but maybe one short sentence, starting with yourself, Endre. What's the single biggest change needed in the ecosystem to reduce fraud in 2025?
I think to be able to stop the money flow is key. If you're not able to stop the money flow, they will just continue. They will just accept that they'll earn less money on the incidents. So we need to stop the money flow. At the same time, we need to do something about the NDA as well, because we need to get hold of them. Who is behind? So we need to get the police to actually investigate and to arrest them and bring them responsible. So to stop the funding and also to arrest them. Those two things are key.
Seems like we need the CFO here, to your point, and Rob, or wherever Rob is, because he took a few of them to prison recently in the UK. So, no, thank you, Endre. Tor?
Yeah, from my side, looking now as our RCS is about to launch and scale, I think it will be necessary just to identify everybody properly. And you can start with a few, but in the end, for businesses want to participate. And this needs to be managed. And the ecosystem here, starting with mobile operators, have to find a way to do this at scale so businesses can communicate. This will require international cooperation, and somebody needs to lead the way. And Norway led the way, Norden led the way 20 years ago in launching mobile. So go ahead now, show the world how it should be done. That's my...
Thank you, Tor. And yourself, Per Brage?
I agree with a lot of what has been said, and I think the key point is to have the cooperation and to stay dynamic, because this thing evolves all the time. We've had some good months now, which means that someone is planning something, right? So it means that we'll have a busy summer.
Well, we saw on the chart they go on holiday, right? Yeah. So, okay. And Hege, final word?
So to echo what Brage is saying, collaboration, bringing the different sectors and the different stakeholders together. Nobody can do it, solve it by themselves. We can pat ourselves on the back when we put in measures, like now it's a little calm because there's been put measures in place, but the foresters are agile. They have a lot of resources, as it was mentioned earlier. So they're always going to be ahead. So to collaborate even more than we are already, but also ensuring trust so that people will actually use these services, both the ones we have today, traditional services, but also all the services we've been talking today.
Great, thank you. Well, I feel like we've barely scratched the surface on this whole topic. It's is a big topic and a deep one, and hopefully that's more than whet your appetite just today on this. At MEF, we do a lot around this area on fraud, anti-fraud. So again, I think there's some follow-ups here with my colleagues. It's not so much myself that covers that at MEF, but we have a team that does look into this. So just last to say, thank you ever so much. That was a fantastic session. Thank you.